everybody. Welcome back to the Baybolts channel for this episode of Quick Strikes. My name is Mike Wax, joined as always with my co-host Jake Ricker. Jake, not the greatest game in the world, but the resilient Tampa Bay Lightning taking down the Detroit Red Wings 4-3 in overtime. How you doing tonight?
Doing good, Michael. It may not have been a pretty win, but a win nonetheless. The Lightning now are on a 9-game point streak, which is just outstanding. There was still a lot to like from this game, and there was a couple of bad things, which we'll get into. But overall, very happy. Gotta always be happy when we have a win. So can't wait to talk about this game.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about what we liked, what we didn't like. We'd love to hear from you guys down in the comments. What did you like from this game? What did you not like? What did you think about the Lightning's ninth consecutive game with a point this season? And another impressive streak that we saw, I believe it was the 18th or 19th game in a row against Detroit, may have even been the 20th game in a row against Detroit, where the Lightning were able to salvage a point. We'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Jake, to get things started, we need to talk about the number one star of the night. Normally, that's Andre Vasilevsky, but tonight it comes from a guy coming off of an injury who we don't really consider that much of a point producer. We think of him more as a defensive specialist, but Eric Chernak had a fantastic game tonight. Had an assist on the Tyler Johnson goal, the primary assist on the Tyler Johnson goal, had the fight against Anthony Mantha, and had the tying goal to make it a Gordie Howe hat trick. A fantastic game for Chernak.
He was great tonight. It seemed like he didn't miss a beat after taking that high hit against Chicago and then missing a game. He came right back right away, which actually surprised me how fast he came back. I thought he was going to be out for a little while, but he jumped right back into the swing of things and played a fantastic game. I love the fight from him to get a little juice back in the flow of his team and his game as well. And then he got the goal as well. You almost could have had a couple more goals. One of them went off two posts as well. So he played a great game. It's awesome to see. He's really developed into one of the Lightning's top defensemen. You look at the Lightning D-men and you see guys like Victor Hedman, Ryan McDonough, even Sergachev, or some of the best defensemen the Lightning have. Both Hedman and McDonough, especially best defensemen in the league. But Chernak has quickly developed into one of the top four defensemen on the Lightning, and he's quickly becoming one of the better defensemen of the entire NHL. So it's really awesome to see how he's developed over the years, and he's continuing to get better and better. Had another great game tonight. Awesome job by him.
Yeah, and one of the people that I saw on Twitter talking about Eric Chernak was like, cannot believe this dude is only 23 years old. And we are so grateful to be able to get him in the Ben Bishop trade a couple of years ago. We love Ben Bishop on this channel, but it's really nice to be able to see a solid defensive defenseman that plays the right side, like Eric Chernak, who is also incredibly young and has so much more left in the tank. So a really nice game from Eric Chernak. Another person that had a really nice game, someone that you and I have really had our problems with over the past couple of years, actually, is Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson tonight had a goal and an assist. He had that beautiful tip in on the Lightning's second goal, and then he had the fantastic cross crease pass to Blake Coleman on the overtime winner. And this is the type of production I think that Lightning fans are expecting from Tyler Johnson most of the time. It does help that it comes against the Red Wings. If there are two teams that the Lightning, and more specifically Tyler Johnson, kill all the time, it's the Hurricanes and the Red Wings. It's really nice to see Johnson get back to his normal self.
I think you give Johnson a little more harder time than I do, but yes, nonetheless, he's been one player that sometimes we do give a little bit of a harder time to, but he's been great. And you're right. I don't know what it is. Whenever he plays the Detroit Red Wings, he plays some of his best hockey. So hopefully that it's nice this season too, because we're almost always playing the Detroit Red Wings in this different season. We're only playing the teams in our division. Nice to have them in our division for Tyler Johnson, but another great game. He made a really great play too on that overtime winner to Coleman. Made a great pass, put it right in the spot where Coleman needed it to get all of that shot and be able to put in the back of the net. So always good to see him perform well. And, as some people said on Twitter, they said, hey, Seattle Kraken, hope you like what you see because this could be yours for, to the low price in the expansion draft. So, but Johnson played really good. It's good to see him performing well, and hopefully this can continue here as we got another game against Detroit. But I'd like to see this continue even when we're not playing Detroit. But a good game for him nonetheless.
Yeah, and one final pause before we get to what I think is a consistent negative, and we'll get to it in a couple of minutes. But Jake, you mentioned something before we started recording, and you and I actually disagreed on this, and I thought about it a little bit more. Alex Barry-Boulet is playing his second NHL game tonight, and he only played in 10 minutes and 43 seconds. And I said that I didn't really see anything in him tonight. And you actually talked about a lot of chances that he had, whether it was the one timer that got saved, the net front presence on the tying goal. He seemed to be all over the ice, especially in the offensive zone, and a really solid performance by the offensively talented rookie.
He wasn't, jumping off the page or anything like that. I think some of the other rookies, like Ross Colton, for example, have had a little bit of a better start than he has, especially when it comes to the stats page. But, I thought he played a solid game overall. Had a couple of good opportunities in the ice time that he was on there, out there on the power play once again. And, that's for some players, it just takes a little bit longer to develop and get to know the Tampa Bay Lightning system. I think that's what's happening with ABB. But I do think he's shown that he can stick around, and if given time, he will develop into the player that we all expect him to be. So I like what I've seen from the kid so far, and I'm very excited to see that continue to happen. Just like you're talking about Eric Chernak, it took a couple of years for him to really, I think, develop into the player that he is today. And like I said, he's one of the better defensemen right now, especially for the Lightning. I think that's going to be the same case for Alex Barré-Boulet right now. It's still very early and we don't know how it's going to work out, but not much to complain about from him. And as you mentioned too, he only played 10 minutes. So there wasn't a huge sample size, but from what I saw, I do think he played solid. You're not going to score every night unless you're Ross Colton. So, but a solid game for him nonetheless.
Yeah, I think Colton is the exception and not the rule. You look at other rookies that have come into the lineup with the Lightning over the past couple of years, whether they are Brain Point, Matthew Joseph, Alexander Volkov, Cal Foote, even someone that isn't in the organization anymore, Matthew Pekka. Those guys took a long time and a lot of chances to score their first goal. Meanwhile, Ross Colton scored in his second shift on the ice, which probably says a lot about him. But going back to ABB, thought he played a pretty good game. You convinced me with some of the chances that he did have. But Jake, let's talk about that second period. Probably one of the Lightning's weaker periods of the year. I know a lot of people probably overreacted to this, but as far as the Lightning were playing, they got outshot 12-6. They looked really sloppy, especially in the defensive zone. That third goal against the goal by Dylan Larkin was a complete defensive breakdown where both Stamkos and Chernak were covering one guy, allowing Larkin to break free and get it past Vasilevsky. Like I said, a lot of people were probably overreacting to the period, but it was not a good showing, especially against a team like the Red Wings.
No, it wasn't. And that second period was probably almost as bad as Detroit's sounding the horn every 30 seconds in the first period. So, but not quite as bad because that just got super annoying. I'm sure we'll get to that in just a second here. But it wasn't a great second period. But that's kind of been the trend with the Lightning right now, is they've just, for whatever reason, are having these bad stretches in these games. Typically, it's usually been the first period where they've kind of struggled, but this one it was more of the second period, which is kind of weird for the Lightning because normally that's one of their better periods, but it wasn't good. But the key here, again, like it has been with any game, is that they made adjustments and came back in this game and ended up getting the win. And that's what good teams do. You've got to find ways to win. I think Cooper even said too in some interviews with the broadcast team is that right now, there's not much to complain about, but they're trying to find that consistency. And that's the big issue right now, is just trying to be consistent. Because if they can be consistent like they were when they were on that 5-6 game winning streak, that they were consistent and they were winning a lot. They were playing some of their best hockey. They still are playing a lot of good hockey. I think that consistency is just kind of taking a little bit of a hit, and hopefully they can get back to it and start playing a full 60 minutes rather than about a full 40, which is what they're doing now. But definitely not the best period, but good news that they're able to adjust and still find ways to win, which at the end of the day is the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, again, probably just an anomaly. I know we keep saying that a lot recently, which tends to bring people into, well, this is a bigger issue. But again, like you've said, like Victor Hedman has said multiple times, good teams will find a way to win. And Victor Hedman also said after the game that he hates losing, and the rest of the Lightning hate to lose. So they will always try to find a way to win. With tonight's win, I should say, and the Carolina Hurricanes overtime win, the Lightning actually keep pace or keep their standings projection at first in the Central Division, currently with 38 points. Jake, anything else that you have from this game, either good or bad?
No, I think that just about sums it up. It wasn't the craziest game we've seen the Lightning play this season. I think for the most part, most guys were pretty solid in this game, and just really that second period was the worst part about it. Blake Coleman played a very good game today as well. Obviously, picked up that OT winner, which was awesome. And then Goodrow had his 300th game tonight, which was really good to see. Good for him. Obviously, 300 games is a pretty big accomplishment, especially. And you see guys hitting 1,000 games, but 300 is quite a lot too. That's a real big accomplishment to be hanging around in the NHL for that long. So shout out to him as well tonight.
Yeah, any game that you can play in the NHL is a big accomplishment, especially getting to number 300 shows your longevity in the league. So, big ups to Barkley Goodrow. A lot of people had some good games, a couple people had some not so good games, but that's usually how it goes. So, guys, that's going to do it for us on this edition of Quick Strikes. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications. Make sure to comment down below. Tell us what you liked and didn't like from this game in particular, whether it was the Johnson performance or the goal horn that seemed to go off every 30 seconds. Also, make sure to follow us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Bay_Bolts. And make sure to actually check out our page. Jake, you recently wrote and started a new series about Nikolai Khabibulin's best game in our retired players best game series. So guys, make sure to check that out. Hopefully we'll put that in the description down below. But guys, for Michael Wax and Jake Ricker, you've been watching Quick Strikes. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, your Tampa Bay Lightning are your 2020 defending Stanley Cup champions.